He came into the house after my parents divorced. So I was 8 or 9 when he moved in. And he was quite emotionally abusive at first. And he'd have like violent tendencies that would kind of coincide with his wine drinking. So I think that was kind of blamed for it. And I've noticed as I got older, so around like 17, 18, that instead of being kind of demeaning and making me and my brother feel quite small and violent and insignificant, it was more of a like sexual controlling kind of tone to it. So just kind of noticed a shift in his behaviour in that respect. He'd make comments about my body quite a lot, so stuff that like a father figure probably shouldn't say, like he'd talk about my figure or my legs, and he'd make comments about like touching my breasts, and he'd slap my ass and stuff when I was just stroking the dog on his bed when I thought he was out of the house. So I worked in a pharmacy. Paul used to work there as well himself. And it was just a Friday I was working and my brother called me. Well, he texted me at first and he asked if he could call me, and I was just like, oh, I'm a bit busy, can it wait until my lunch break? But he was like, oh no, it's urgent. So I thought it would be relating to our dad because he was an alcoholic, so I just thought it was something about that. And so I went outside to take the call, and he said that he'd found a photo of me on the iPad. And I was like, oh, like, nothing odd about that, like there are holiday photos and stuff like that on there. But he was like, oh no, that's like it was like taken in your room. And I was like, oh, like a selfie? And he was like, no, like it looks like it's a photo of you in your room, like from on top of your wardrobe. So like kind of as soon as he said that, I think I knew in my head. But I was like, oh, like don't worry about it, don't think anything of it. I was like, just maybe go to Auntie's house or something for the day, like get out of the house kind of thing. Just trying to keep him away from it. And he was like, you sure you're okay? And I was like, yeah, like absolutely fine, like, you know, don't worry about it kind of thing. So I hung up and I went back in and I was like trying to think over what to do. Because I know that, like, if anyone had told me that, I would have been like immediately called the police. But because, like, I don't know, I was so scared of him, I just didn't want to do that immediately. But I think my colleague Diane could tell that something was up, so she asked me. And like as soon as she said it, I was like shaking and crying, so I think she could tell that something was wrong. So yeah, I explained to her what happened, and she got the pharmacist David involved, and they kind of both kind of quietly encouraged me to contact the police. So I did that, and a couple of officers came in to ask me some like generic kind of like domestic case questions. And then I think Paul was arrested like literally as I was leaving, and that he admitted to like placing the camera and using it for like his own sexual gratification. So obviously hearing that was quite difficult, and then still being in that like the same bed in the same bedroom was quite difficult. So first kind of steps with the police interview. So I went with my auntie, and that was quite I don't know how to explain it. It was really sickening, because obviously you know what they kind of ask you about, but like when they ask you and you have to say like, oh, like what are you scared of your stepdad seeing? It just felt and it still feels like really uncomfortable to think about, and you do still think about it. It just took a while for the police to go through all that, and obviously like only certain officers can watch it because of the content. So it took like 2 years pretty much 2 years between that and the sentencing. It's not reflective of like the impact he had on me. I think that goes for any sex offender. Like they don't really get anything near what they deserve to get, because of the impact they have on the victims, like short term and long term. So I started thinking about it kind of like a year after Paul was arrested. I think when I started to, you know, kind of be a bit more stable and think about it a bit more rationally. But I just didn't want any other victim to feel the way that I felt, and I just don't think it's right that like sexual predators of any kind, like they don't get enough. Even obviously I wasn't a child, but even child victims, they don't, like the predators don't get anywhere near long enough in prison, in my opinion. And I just think it's disgusting compared to other crimes. Well, I obviously really want it to get to Parliament so it can at least be discussed. Like I don't think necessarily a lot of the people in Parliament understand women's rights and women's issues. I think they're kind of in denial about it, but at least if it's there, it's got a platform, and the people who do care about it and can do something about it can maybe do some sort of increase to sentencing, because at the moment, yeah, enough's not being done.